Welcome to the MS&Me Radio Network. The broadcast shows are for informational and entertainment purposes only. They are not designed to provide listeners with specific personal, medical, or counseling advice. Individuals with a medical issue should always consult their healthcare provider. MS&Me is not responsible for content of individual shows. The views expressed by show hosts or their guests are their own. Enjoy the show.
Hey y'all, and welcome to Straight Up with MS and all its crazy little circles here on MS&Me Radio, brought to you by the MS Global Support Network. I love that. It is global. It makes it sound so much fancier, you know? And I'm not really a fancy person at all. But anyways, I'm your host. I'm Patty Long, and you can find me at MSNit for Life on Twitter, and I spell that MSENIT, the number 4, LIFE. And, you know, we're all here doing the same thing, trying to live a really good life, in spite, despite, whatever you want to call it, of our health conditions. Okay? And MS is a big part of that. And for me, that has been a true nightmare for many, many years. And I do mean many, many years of a complete and solid nightmare. And I came out of it. And I came out, I think, a lot better on the other side than I did when I started. I don't know. Maybe not. But you learned so many things that you never wanted to learn, you know, and the truth is that we need to learn them, because if we don't learn them, then we can't get better. And so we have to learn to give up those people in our lives who are constantly putting us down, constantly in disbelief of what we say, making fun of us, not because they're trying to laugh with us, but because they're trying to make fun of us. And, you know, a lot of times we're so confused and so mixed up, and them telling us how confused and mixed up we are just makes it worse, you know? I know when I'm mixed up. I know when I'm confused, and you guys probably do too. And yet we still have those people that want to point out that we're wrong all the time. And then they believe that because we were wrong before in how we were saying something or what we were doing or whatever, that we are just idiots and can't function. And those people need to go. They do. And it's a person like that who's holding me back now. And I've got one more of them that I need to toss out of my life. I've told y'all that before. And, you know, many occasions I've told you I've got one left in my life. But you know what? That one seems to be one too many. And I really don't want to make my stress levels worse. So I deal with that one idiot. But the one idiot will leave me unable to do a show, or unable to do what I want to do, which includes the show. And I have to find my way back, because I cannot stay depressed. I cannot stay so stressed out that I allow myself to turn every day into a Netflix day. I just can't do that to myself. And I'm the one that would be doing it to myself, not the idiot that shoved me, you know, into this darkness. So, you know, I often look online for my own inspiration, my own motivation. And I find good friends there. People with MS, for the most part, but not always. And they inspire me to do better. They really do. And then when people with MS start doing things that I have suggested to really improve their lives and then tell me about it, there's more inspiration for me to keep going. That's more motivation for me to keep going, to hear about other people's successes, whether they're doing it the way I do it or they're doing it some other way. If they're improving, then they're helping me to get back into my happy bubble. Now, I posted a picture online of my happy bubble, and I'm going to repost it a few times because, I'm kind of proud of the photograph. But it's a photograph of a bubble. And inside of a soap bubble, things are upside down and backwards. And then they're right side up and backwards. And, the soap bubble transforms what you're seeing. And when I took the photograph, it was before I was diagnosed with MS. And I was able to handle a DSLR camera. And that is a goal of mine, is to be able to handle that weight of a camera and take the photographs that I used to take, and my photography was most definitely unique in the fact that a lot of it was blur, a lot of it was motion, and a lot of it was just that I saw something unique, like this bubble, and I took a photograph of it. I actually took a lot of photographs of the bubble before I got the perfect one. But when you get the perfect one, it seems like it's worth all the misses. But, it's really hard to photograph a soap bubble that somebody's done, been blowing bubbles, and they got these bubbles blowing and they're going every which way and the wind's tossing them a little bit, and they go up, they fall down, they pop and all this stuff. So it did take quite a few tries to get this soap bubble just perfect and to get the lighting just perfect so that it was obviously a bubble. And this is what I call my happy bubble. And my happy bubble is somewhere I need to stay. So, when somebody knocks me out of it, it's awful. But it happens. And the way to find your own happy bubble, as I was, and I was talking to somebody about this morning, because she's all the time fighting with people and arguing with them about how real MS is. She's trying to take care of a child that is little, so it's like 10 of them, because they're running. You know how it is with little kids if you've ever had one. If you've got a 4 or 5 year old, they are all over the place and they need a lot of attention. And they do. And sometimes we just don't seem to have it in us to give them all that attention. So I try to concentrate on something that's good, something that is happy, something that is funny, and concentrating on that. And I try and play my games and concentrate on those. I try to change my focus from this negative whatever thing it is into something happy and positive and get me back in my happy bubble. And this has got to come from inside of you guys. You got to just dig deep and jerk it out and force it to come back to the surface. because we cannot be content. We cannot be happy if we're not happy with ourselves, if we're not content with who we are. And if we've got a lot of negativity in our life that's coming from outside forces, then that's not helping us any. So we definitely want to do something about that. And there's counseling and things that are very helpful when the other person actually wants to go. There are doctors out there who are very helpful at explaining how real this disease is if you can get them to go. But if you can't, then you can't. And you're just wasting your breath trying to tell them about it. And then you find that it gets used against you, which is really crazy to have the unbelievable something that you've made up used against you at a later time of day. How ridiculous is that? So we do need to try and get rid of all this negativity that we deal with and find this happy bubble. And we've all got one. We've all got a story inside our heads that is just hilarious and dying to come out. We just have to find it, This morning, honestly, I didn't want to get up. Still in a funk from last week. Hubby was off last week. Oh, yay. So, he decided, I think it was on the first Saturday that he was off, maybe it was that Sunday, that it was house washing day. And so he gets the bleach and stuff, and he proceeds to wash the outside of the house. And I had told him, if you remember from a few episodes back, that our front porch is in the shade, and I would be more than willing to let him do all the planting. And I would be more than willing to let him do all the work involved with taking care of the plants. And so he had gone to the store and gotten plants, right? And dirt, and it was like 2 or 3 bags worth of dirt that he bought, and a whole bunch of plants. And he planted them. And he actually did halfway decent listening about needing shade plants. So one pot is petunias, which need sun, and the rest of them are shade plants. And they're impatiens, with the little leaves and the pretty little flowers of all different colors. So, a simple plant to grow for most of us. But he was going to wash the front porch. So he needed to move them all. And he did halfway decent about keeping the shade plants in the shade. I have to admit that. He listened. I cannot believe he actually listened to that part of it, because he hasn't listened to anything else. And yes, I did have to replant the plants because, well, for some reason, he doesn't pat dirt down. He puts it in dry, and once you water it, then the plants aren't planted anymore, right? So I did have to go behind him and add dirt and plant the plants better. But so far, everything is still alive, although those impatiens have huge leaves right now. And if he fertilizes them again, they're probably going to die. But I'm seeing signs of it anyways. I'm seeing big, huge signs of it, which I told you is going to, be about 4 weeks. And I'd see signs, and then poof, they'd be gone. And then he'd be asking me why. So, but I have been kind of taking care of them. But on that day, aside from moving those pots, those huge planters, he had to also move all the furniture and stuff out in the yard and off the porch. And he did that. And then he left it all out there. Told me to move it back. Well, I looked at him. And he said, well, I'll move the planters. I'm like, yeah? Okay, great. And he wanted me to wash all the chairs and everything, and the tables, and, all the junk that we had on the porch. So here I go, washing all the stuff. And it's like 95 degrees outside that day. I mean, it's really, really bright sun and hot, and I didn't need to be in it nonstop. And so I was in and out of the shade, and he was using the hose, so I couldn't like hose myself down or anything like that. But he was using the hose, so I would go sit on the porch, and then I'd go work for a minute, and then I'd go sit on the porch, and then I'd go work for a few minutes, and I was going back and forth, and I was doing okay with this. And I got all the furniture cleaned, finally. But he had already left. By that time, it took me, now, he had washed the entire house, and finished, and then did whatever else he did, and left the house at like 4 o'clock, and I'm still out there trying to clean these chairs and things off. So I finally got them finished, and I started setting them up, and he comes back in. By now it's closer to 8. Yeah, you talk about an all-day job for me. That was an all-day job, and it was hard work for me. And true, the old me, the one without MS, probably could have done it in less than an hour, and it would have been no big deal. But me with MS, and without having already acclimated to the sunshine, which I never get so fully acclimated to the sunshine that I can stay in it nonstop without having water dumped on me constantly. But I did it. I managed. I got the job done. And I had put most of the furniture on the porch, but still had some in the yard. But he wasn't going to help me with any of it. He went in, He got here, and he went in. And just shook his head at me going in, because I wasn't done yet, I guess. But I ignored that. And I sat down in one of the chairs that I had set up in front of our little pond in the flower bed. So I'm sitting there, and he pops his head out the door, and he tells me he doesn't like the chair there. It's in front of the window. I'm like, okay, I'll swap them around just to make you happy. So I swapped them around, and I put table and then chair. So the table was under the window, because something was going to have to be under a window. We have 2 windows in the living room, and we have 3 chairs for the front porch, and 2 little square end table kind of things. And then I have another shelf table that my son made out of a tree. I think it was a hickory tree that was small and straight, and he used that tree to make the legs, and then cut notches in them to hold boards. And I mean, he made this stuff by hand, and I love it, So I had that. And I'm looking at my front porch and going, okay, so table, chair, okay, this is how I'm going to set it up. And then I didn't like it because my pedal chair wobbled. So now I have that chair slid back where I wanted it in the first place, and just kept moving things around until he finally gave up telling me about not having anything at all in front of a window. So there is stuff in front of the window. Yay, me! I won a battle, right? And I had to move them, because if my pedal chair is not in a spot where it is level, then it bounces and I can't keep pedaling. And I don't want a bouncy chair while I'm pedaling. And I haven't found a new pedal chair despite looking, because I need one that doesn't have my butt sinking down. And apparently, right now, the rave is to have your butt sinking down. And if I'm pedaling with my butt sinking down, then I'm going to hurt my back. So I'm not going to do that. If you don't have back problems from MS or from something else, then maybe you could. But if your low back is a problem area for you, then having your butt down like that isn't a good sitting position. And I've got a friend online, and she goes by on Twitter. She's at the MS Kitty Lady, and she spells that V and then MS, and Kitty is KITTY Lady. And I love her to death. And she's been one of my pedal buddies online. And I was so proud of her. And she could tell that she was improving. She could tell that her leg was working better. And all she was doing was pedaling using floor pedals. And they're not that expensive, y'all. These are $20 in the US and maybe 25, 30 Great Britain pounds. It just depends on where you get it. Shop around because there's cheap prices out there. And the equipment, to be honest with you, at that price can be replaced in a couple of years if you wear it out. I've already worn out one set. And I really wore it out because I left it sitting on the front porch in the weather all year. And the little pieces that hold everything together rusted, and then I had a broken pedal. So, anyways, Bev was pedaling with me, and she was seeing these benefits, and then all of a sudden, it was like she just tightened up and went, and something snapped tight, and she's like, I feel like the Tin Man. And I thought, what a great comparison. The Tin Man from the Wizard of Oz. That's a good way to put it. And when we do this, and all of a sudden we go tight and we feel everything, we know we've done something. So I'm kind of, in this back and forth. Is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? Stretch it out. Stretch, 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 stretch. Put your butt up higher while you're pedaling. Raise yourself up, and keep going with it, and keep stretching. Stretch, 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 stretch. Because we've got your hip working. We've got your leg working. You know it exists now. You feel it existing. So keep going and stretch it out. And I know she can do it. I know she can. But no, connecting isn't pain-free. We had growing pains as kids, whether it was a recognized thing or not. We had them. And it's something that happens. And there are things that we can do to help aid that with the pain. And that is, 1, stretch. 2, continue to do those movements, to make those pedals go round, to loosen it back up and keep it working, because you don't want it to tighten up and stay tight, and you don't want it to tighten up like that and then not work again. So every time I do that kind of thing and I pull the crap out of the muscles and it tightens up like that, it can take 3, maybe 4 weeks to really notice it's gone, to really not have to continually stretch. It's a process. But then after, oh my gosh, I reap the benefits. So it's not a bad thing, even though it is a bad thing, which is why I'm so mixed about this with Bev. Here's my pedal buddy, and I don't want to make her mad. I don't want to lose my best pedal buddy, she's awesome. and she's enthusiastic, and she knows it's going to work, and I know it's going to work. And we don't want to become discouraged, which again is why we get rid of those negative idiots in our lives that bring us down and that push us down and that think that an all-day job for us should only take 30 minutes to an hour, and why are you tired the next day? Why can't you get up today? What's wrong with you? You're just lazy. No, I'm not. I did all that work yesterday, and today I'm whipped, Believe it. It's true. So I got the work done, and I'm still dealing with the idiot. I ended up proving once again that getting stung by any kind of bees does not cure MS, because I got stung about 8 times that day by wasps. I didn't feel them until at all when it happened, but I know that's what it is, because when my dog brushed up against me that night after hubby got home, I felt something move inside my leg. And I thought, what is that? And I looked, and I had this big red place. And I rubbed my hand across it, and I felt the stinger on my finger, because I've got a place on my finger that's really sensitive, so I'm glad of that. And I got that stinger out. And then I went to take a shower, and I found that a whole pack of them had attacked my other leg on my hip, just about. They must have gotten up underneath inside my shorts and just stung the crap out of me. So what does hubby say? He says, oh yeah, there was a big wasp nest underneath there. I broke most of it off. Well, gee, thanks. You could have told me about the wasp nest before I started with the chairs. And the wasp nest was empty and looked dead like it should have been. And I had seen that there, but I didn't think that it would just be left, I mean, really? So, and left alive without being sprayed by the guy who sprays everything with poison. Makes me wonder. But anyways, I ended up stung again. So, no, getting stung, no matter how many times, no matter what kind of bee, it does not cure our MS. It does not stop this disease at all. So, instead of trying to stop it with magic cures, stop it with exercise. Stop it with eating right. Stop it by getting rid of the negative people and find your happy bubble, that happy place. And my time is way past up, of course, because it always is. And thanks for listening to me ramble on. I love you guys. Bev, I hope you're okay. I really do. Chrissy, I hope you make it through as well. And y'all just have a great, great rest of your week. Find your happy place. Smile big. Smile often. Laugh a whole lot. And most importantly, love yourself, your whole self, including that wacky messed up pot. Thanks, guys. Bye.